Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit Shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Oh, bliss. Mall food.
Buffy,
Mom?
where's my dress?
Oh, God.
Let me guess. You were distracted by a boy.
Technically.
Buffy.
Look, I can go get it right now.
They're closed. I just have to fit it in tomorrow.
Sorry.
A little responsibility is all I ask. Honestly, don't you ever think about anything besides boys and clothes?
Saving the world from vampires?
I swear sometimes I don't know what goes on in your head.
Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We are just two boys watching every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, reviewing it, giving our reaction. We're your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we're covering Season 2, Episode 12, titled Bad Eggs. And it was directed by David Greenwalt, written by Marty Noxon. The original air date was January 12th, 1998, to an audience of 6.48 million people. This is the most that I think that this show's gotten.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode's not the strongest showing of Buffy.
No, I wouldn't say this is the best. I mean, this podcast episode is going to be amazing, but...
Oh, yeah. We're going to kill it.
Yeah. But the episode...
But they didn't.
You know where they went wrong now with this episode? Is they didn't
There's no chicken people.
No chicken people. They didn't do our prediction for last episode.
They didn't do what we said to do 25, 30 years later.
And they tried to. They tried to throw in some cowboy vampires. They tried to throw some eggs, but they didn't have the guts to go all chicken people.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in this episode. It's kind of like a Spider-Man 3 situation. Or it was like there's a lot of villains and too much going on.
Yeah, even without getting into it, this episode doesn't need vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Vance, with getting into it, shall we? Get into
I wonder if people want more preamble, you know? We dive into it pretty quick, and maybe they just want us to like randomly just talk about our days, tune into like two guys talking about the two guys chatting podcast.
Yeah, there's like 400,000 of those podcasts. How many boys watching Buffy's are there? There's probably 5.
Yeah, there's only like 5. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it then. So we start the episode off with Buffy and her mom at a shopping mall, and Buffy wants some scandalous outfit that her mom doesn't approve of. Yada, yada, yada.
Has she ever seen Buffy's clothes?
Yeah, I know.
Buffy dresses all kinds of different ways.
I do want to say, from the very beginning, you get this slow pan up on like this cowboy-looking motherfucker.
Yep. I noted that, and I was like, okay, we won't see him again. It's a weird beginning for the episode to have your extra be like, if he's not supposed to be noticed, to be walking in front of the camera with a giant cowboy hat on in California.
It was like a very, like, I was like, this has got to be leading to something, because they are showing this guy for way too long.
Yeah.
And then we get to Buffy and her mom arguing, and then her mom wants her to get like a dress from a tailor shop or something for her.
this place, Everyday Woman. And I don't remember if that's a real place or not. I think it might be.
I don't think I've never seen it. And I'm a frequent mall goer. Vance.
You're a frequent mall goer shopping for mom clothes when you went to the mall?
Yeah, always. So yeah, Buffy's mom is like, hey, will you pick up this dress for me and I'll meet you at the food court. So Buffy's like, all right, fine. And then she's going down the escalator and we see this cowboy guy and his lady again. And then Buffy looks to her right and sees the lady alone. So she knows that the cowboy dude's a vampire.
Okay, cool. I was confused. So she looked in the mirror and saw.
Yeah, I was confused as hell until I just said that sentence.
Okay, all right.
Because I thought it was some kind of weird mirror world situation going on.
I watched it and I saw that guy, and then I saw her look to the right, and I was like, "Is that a different woman just by herself on a different escalator?" You know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, okay, cool.
So yeah,
so no one else is noticing.
We figured that out right now on the podcast, everybody.
So no one else in that mall noticed that there's a dude walking around with no reflection.
I guess not.
Like a mall would be a nightmare for him.
Yeah, I mean, it also seemed like it was during the day. Oh, I guess not because
I don't know.
Yeah,
no, the mall was closing. So.
The store that Buffy's mom wanted to go to was closing. But anyway, so Buffy sees that there's no guy in the reflection, so she's like, "Oh, there's a vampire in the mall." Mm-hmm. So she climbs up the stairs. She follows the cowboy hat guy to some abandoned arcade.
You know how arcades used to close like an hour early in the mall?
No.
No, never. It would be still packed with people like cashing in tickets or something.
Yeah, there'd be something going on. It looked like, I don't know, I thought it was like closed. Like,
also, if a store is closed in a mall, they pull down that like gate so you don't get in. Like he's just in, they just managed to go to an empty, whatever.
Yeah, they're in an arcade, all the lights are off, but they're playing games and Buffy is like, oh, hey, or the cowboy hat guy says something to the lady and he's like, oh, your neck looks so good to bite or some bullshit.
I say like you have a pretty neck or something. And
yeah. And then Buffy's like,
I'm surprised she didn't see the reflection in the pinball game that she's playing.
I know.
Or the lack of.
But then Buffy's like, ugh, don't you guys ever get any new lines? And the cowboy's like, who are you? And she's like, you're my ex-lover. And then so the victim woman leaves because she's like, oh, this is an awkward situation that I don't want to be a part of.
And this woman I could talk about for probably 2 days. Like her reaction to Buffy showing up is annoyance.
Yeah.
Right away. And then it seemed like I thought it was going to be a twist where she's also a vampire too. Like it seemed like she was just like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I get it. And then when Buffy's like, oh, you're my boyfriend. And she's like, oh, all right, I'm just going to leave now. Like she had no reaction to like, this dude was about to hook up with me and he's cheating on his girlfriend. She was just like, all right, next time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It was such a weird choice.
Yeah, it was very weird. So then Buffy and the cowboy hat guy fight. And he's like, oh, you must be that pretty little slayer I heard about. And she's like, ugh, get away from me. Apparently this vampire's name is Lyle.
Yes, it's Lyle Gorch of the Gorch brothers.
Okay. So they fight for a bit, and then he escapes. And Buffy goes to the food court, and her mom is like, you forgot my dress. And Buffy's like, oh, poop.
You gotta learn responsibility, Buffy. That's the theme of this episode, somehow.
Yeah. Every episode, Buffy's not responsible. And she doesn't want to be responsible. I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
You gotta let me be a...
Well, she gets to the table. She's like, what happened? Did you get distracted by a boy? Because that's the only thing the mom thinks about.
Yeah.
She's like, somewhat. Like, yeah, kind of.
And she's like, well, what's going through your head? And she's like, saving the world from vampires. And her mom's like, you're an insane person.
Yeah. And I thought it was going to cut to the credits soon as she said that off of the look. But I think the mom had had that line about you're an insane person. I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like saving the world from vampires. It's like the mom just shakes her head and then it cuts to the song.
Yeah.
But no.
But then we do cut to Xander and Cordelia making out in the closet. Hardcore. And Xander like turns on the lights and Cordelia starts talking and he's like, this would work better for me if you would stop talking. And then Cordelia goes, this would work better for me with the lights off. And she shuts the lights back off. He's like,
I couldn't help but think about that Arrested Development scene with Job and Kitty in the closet. And he's like, hair down, glasses on, hair down, lights on, lights off. Like he's trying to hook up with her, but he's just so not attracted to her. So, yeah.
Yeah. So then they have an argument about like, hey, this isn't good for my self-esteem. And Cordelia's like, well, I don't want to be able to, I don't want to tell anybody about it. And Xander's like, yeah, that also isn't good for my self-esteem. Like, I'm feeling kind of shitty about this whole situation. And then they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't do it. And they're like, all right, fine. And then they both reach for the door handle and then they touch and then they start making out again.
Yeah. And then
you do.
And then they do it. I'm going to say they do it.
You think they're banging?
I think they're banging. You don't have to lie on the ground to make out like that.
And then Cordelia reaches up to turn off the lights. Yeah. But they're banging in school? That's risky.
The vampire was going to eat in a crowded mall.
That's true. All right, yeah. So then we get to sex ed class, and the teacher is like, hey, everybody, what do you think are some negative consequences to having sex?
We have to talk about the transition, because that's really where the sex happens. It's like the light switch goes down, and then we hard cut to a teacher writing SEX on a chalkboard. It's like, and they do this again kind of later, but it's such a aggressive transition.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right.
And he's like, all right, class, what is some bad stuff that can happen from having sex? And then Xander raises his hand and he's like, something about halitosis and your breath stinks. Yeah. And then Cordelia raises her hand and she says something shitty. Like they're taking shots at each other through these answers.
And there's a shot of Willow, like when this is happening, where it looks like she's getting super horny, but not like, I think it's supposed to be her kind of being confused about their banter, but it just kind of looked like she was reacting to the teachers, like talking about like your hormones are kicking out, and she's like, oh boy.
Yeah. But then eventually Willow like kind of breaks the tension. She's like, pregnancy, that's something that's a negative side effect. And then teacher's like, yes, unwanted teenage pregnancy, that's bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's your assignment. You have to take care of an egg.
I've only seen this done in sitcoms.
Yeah.
Did your high school do that? I mean, I'm sure your high school didn't.
I went to an all-boys school. We didn't partner up with anybody.
They were also like, no, you don't have to take care of the kid when you have it. That's what we're training the all-girls school to do.
Well, my sister went to an all-girls school. I don't know. I'd have to ask her.
Yeah, because we never had the like fake baby or the carry a pouch of flour around with you, like what they do in sitcoms and stuff. And I'm like, and it's just a white egg. Like,
yeah,
they didn't put a mark on anything.
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of that test is supposed to be.
Yes, because taking care of a baby is not like taking care of an uncooked egg.
Yeah, I would be curious. Like, hey, listeners. If you had to take care of an egg or like a fake baby, write in, because I've only, especially the egg thing, like the fake baby I could kind of get, but an egg, get out of here.
If this was your high school or even middle school experience, write in, DM us, let us know.
Yeah, but so Xander wants to take care of the egg with Cordelia. You apparently have to partner up in order to take care of this one egg.
But everyone gets an egg though.
Yeah.
Which makes sense it doesn't make sense logically for class, but it makes sense for the story.
Yeah. So Cordelia partners up with some other guy, and then Xander partners up with some other lady. And then they go to the library, and turns out Buffy skipped class, and she gets an egg. And because she skipped class, she was like, oh, who am I partnered with? She was like, well, because you skipped class, there's an odd number of people in the class anyway, so you're stuck with the egg alone. And then Buffy's like, you mean I have to be a single mom? I'm living the nightmare that my mom is living through.
When she said that, I was like, oof, that's rough.
Yeah, that's brutal, dude. Also, it's an egg. It's just an egg.
And Xander says as much. He's like, this doesn't mean anything. It's just an egg.
Yeah, and Buffy's freaking out. She's just like, oh, but I want a partner. And then Willow makes some kind of thing like, maybe Angel will help you take care of the egg.
Did you think they were going to partner her with like a loser in class and it was going to be really fun?
Yes, that is what I thought.
Yeah. Because
as soon as she was like, who did I get partnered with? I was like, oh, it's going to be some weirdo and he's going to do something weird to the egg.
I thought it was going to be that guy that they kept showing, that extra that was near Xander. Because Xander tries to partner up with a random girl in class and she just like laughs and walks away. Mm-hmm. And then later he's just with Cordelia. I don't know if he's even with I guess he's partnered with her. I don't even know. Who's Willow partnered with? Whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, dude. But yeah, she's pissed, and Giles is researching the Gorch brothers.
Yeah, Gorch, according to Amazon, where I watched this.
Okay, so he's been researching those guys, and apparently they were a bunch of kind of crazy hillbilly murderers before they turned into vampires, and that just kind of like amplified their prowess.
Can I say, as much as I like get on the Watchers for being like, God, what do you guys know? They took such detailed notes. There is a photo of these two in this book. like she's like, I found a guy with a cowboy hat. He's like, oh, got it.
You mean this guy?
From 18-something. From 1876, this guy, these two brothers. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they've been doing their job, man.
Yeah, I wonder if Giles is taking this much detailed notes, or is he just like freestyling it?
He's like, well, every person that we come in contact with, Buffy kills, so we don't really need it.
That's true. Yeah. I wonder if he's like providing updates on Angel's love life. He's like, well, guess what, everybody?
Everyone
Watchers
knows
in the
about
future.
Angel. Like, everyone's been reading that weekly blog about Angel.
Yeah. Angelus is now is hooking up with a Slayer. Yeah. Good Lord. But yeah, Willow makes some kind of mention about like, maybe you and Angel should take care of the egg. And then somebody says something like, yeah, that'd be better than you just like making out all the time. And then Buffy's like, Angel and I are not just slaves to passion. And then cut to Angel and Buffy just making out hardcore in a graveyard.
Yeah, trigger warning if making out mouth sounds don't work for you, because this episode is all about it.
It's so much, dude.
It's so much smacking. So much lip smacking.
Yeah. So they're making out, and the Gorch brothers are spying on them. And they're like, is that the Slayer? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, isn't that Angelus? What is he doing with her? And they're like, how come she's not slaying him? And they're like, I have no idea. And then they're like, should we kill them? And he's like, let's wait.
This is where we begin the downward spiral of these two characters.
Yes.
They're sitting on the wall of the cemetery, just like those Muppet characters that sit in a balcony heckling, you know,
Yes.
And Buffy and Angel are looking around. They're like, should we look? And he like glance around. They're like, oh, we're all safe. And then the camera just pans up and they're just sitting right there, plain as day. And
Buffy and Angel are like making out on top of like a headstone.
In the middle of like, not like, they're just out in the open. They're not ducked behind a tree or anything. And it is so insane that these vampires are like, no, let's just wait.
Let's let them finish.
Yeah.
It's like one of them breaks out at like a camcorder.
Which you've had a vampire do already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was...
They might as well.
They're voyeurs.
Yeah.
They're creeps, dude. So then Buffy goes home, and this is the part that I could talk for 2 days about.
Okay.
She goes home, she sits on her bed, and she has an egg checklist that includes feeding the egg, burping the egg, and changing the egg's diaper. And I was like, even if Buffy was a good student, because she's like, yeah, I guess I did that.
Yeah.
Even if she was like diligently taking care of this egg, what would that look like? Like, what is this assignment?
I know. Like the
the
bruise
assignment?
of the assignment is so bad. And I forgot to mention, Buffy throws out that she killed her Gigapet. Earlier scene, which is this like a Tamagotchi. Were Gigapets and Tamagotchis the same thing, or are they two different brands?
Yeah, I think they were different brands.
Yeah, it was like whatever.
It's essentially the same thing.
It's a keychain digital pet that you would supposed to take care of. Basically, traumatizing people when they're at a young age of having to always worry about feeding a digital creature in your pocket.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, she is like doing this egg checklist. And then she's like, all right, well, I guess I took care of this egg pretty well. And it's in like this, it's swaddled in a basket.
Yeah. Like, are you supposed to hatch this thing?
Well, I was like, is this Easter? Like, what is this? So then she's like, all right, well, that's enough. I'm going to bed. So she shuts out the light, and then the egg starts moving. Mm-hmm. And then a tendril hatches out of it, and it just starts going towards Buffy, and then it becomes like a hand, kind of. Mm-hmm. And then it goes in her ear and on her eyes while she's asleep. And then it's like dent, dent, like violin strikes. And then Buffy wakes up, and you look at the egg, and the egg's back to normal. Nothing weird has happened to Buffy. And that's about it for that scene.
Yeah, I watched this episode just before we recorded, so I had like zero time to like actually like think about any of the stuff. But when we were talking about earlier, when they're talking about when Willow says, "Oh, one of the dangers of sex is pregnancy," mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh, once that thing got on her mouth," because in the next scene, Buffy comes down and the mom and her banter about like parenting, and it's really cringy. But I was like, oh, so she's going to be like pregnant with this egg tentacle thing. Like it was on her face all night.
Yeah. And she's like, I didn't really sleep that well. And
later at school, like, Willow's not feeling that well. And I'm like, oh, something, they're going to get pregnant somehow.
Well, what kept them up? Like, why wouldn't she have slept well?
And spoilers, that whole thing doesn't pay off at all.
No, it doesn't whatsoever. Like, you never see that long-ass tendril shit again.
No. And it seems like there was no point in it.
Yeah, I don't...
This episode has a lot.
We'll get to it later.
Has a lot of filler. It feels like. Yeah. It feels like. Unless we'll stuff pays off later. Yeah.
But then we go to the Gorch brothers, and they're in a sewer, and they're eating rats, and then they bicker about like, why didn't we kill Angel and the Slayer? And they're like, well, because you were following my plan. And the other brother, whose name is Tector, he's like, well, you know what? I want to fight you. And Lyle's like, all right, let's fight. And then they just start punching each other in the sewer. It's like the most pointless scene I think I've seen.
I was like, what is this? Like, what?
Yeah. Then Buffy goes to school, and the gang's in the library, and Buffy and Willow are tired, and we find out that Xander boiled his egg because he's like, I'm not taking care of this egg. Like, I'm just gonna cheat. And everybody's like appalled that Xander would cheat at this meaningless, stupid egg assignment. Like, even Giles is like, how dare you?
He's like, oh, that's technically cheating. But I'm like, hey, do you want me to help you with the vampire hunting stuff? Or do you want me to take care of an egg?
Yeah. And he's like playing with the egg, and he's like tossing it up, and he drops it, and it's fine. And then they're like, "Well, you cheated."
So mad that the egg was boiled right there.
Same, because the shell still would have cracked.
No, it wasn't even just that. One, I thought he had like glued it shut or something.
Yeah,
the way it didn't crack. But also, it would have been awesome if that was the moment where they find out what's inside the egg.
Yeah, but then the episode would have ended 40 minutes early.
No, I feel like we can just get rid of some of the Gorch Brothers stuff and like have more stuff happen. I don't know.
But the reason why they're in the library talking about all this is because the sex ed teacher has gone missing. And Cordelia comes in and she's like, maybe we should look for him. He's probably dead. And they're like, what? Why would you say that, Cordelia? And she's like, we've had so many people die here. He's probably in a closet somewhere. He's in a locker or something. And I was like, this is the most realistic shit ever.
Even though it's a ploy just to get Xander to go hook up with her in a closet. It is realistic where it's like, someone's not here. They must be dead.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that, like, it was crazy that like Buffy was like, what are you talking about? It's like, dude, have you not been going to school here for the last however long we've been in school?
Yeah.
Like so many of our teachers, like one was a bug, one got beheaded.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think this is?
Yeah.
Like, he's probably dead.
Yeah, Giles is like, I think we should give it a little more time. I'm like, no time to waste. Find out where this guy got murdered and figure out what's going on with these eggs.
So yeah, then Cordelia's like, maybe we should check all the closets, Xander. And then Xander's like, okay, let's go check. And then Buffy and Willow are like, those two are acting weird. It's like, how have you not figured this out?
Willow should figure it out for sure, since she is a Xander stan. You know, she's obsessed with him. But they both are like a little comatose on the stairs because of, I guess both of them. I think something had to got cut out of the show.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because Xander seems like he's not. Xander and Cordelia don't seem tired, but Cordelia didn't boil her egg, so
yeah, it doesn't make sense why Cordelia is. Yeah, maybe some of them are real eggs and some of them aren't.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's you know what? Yeah, you're right. Because okay, we'll get into it later. So then Giles is like, all right, well, you need to rest up because you need to go on the hunt, Buffy. And Buffy's like, I should be fine. And then we cut to her and Angel making out in the graveyard again. Mm-hmm. And then this is when we have like a weird moment between Angel and Buffy where Buffy's like, ugh, I have to take care of this stupid egg, as if I want to take care of a kid. I don't want kids anytime soon. I'll want kids when my life is over. And Angel's like, you've never really thought about the future and having kids? And Buffy's like, no, I'm 16. He's like, don't you want to think about kids and the future? She's like, not really, not at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're lucky because I can't have kids.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you guys will be together forever.
Right? What do you want out of this, Angel? Like,
Angel's a very, sensitive vampire.
Yeah, so then Buffy's like, oh, when I think of the future, all I think about is you. And then Angel's like, I feel the same. But he hesitated, and I don't think he does feel the same.
Yeah, he's like, I got a spinoff coming.
Yeah.
He's like, that'd be amazing.
So after that, we go to this.
Whoa. They make out to a point that implies, with the camera's softcore porn camera pan down, that pans over a gravestone that says "in loving memory of," that they're probably banging in a graveyard at this point.
You think that's what
that was a deep in kiss, pan away from the action. That for me right there, I thought, oh, he just said that he can't get her pregnant, and that egg that touched her mouth probably put a baby inside of her, because I've seen Aliens or something. So I thought she was going to think she was pregnant with some vampire baby.
See, I think that's a little bit of a leap.
You don't think she had sex with him in the graveyard there?
I could understand your logic follows for Cordelia and Xander when it smash cuts to SEX on the board.
Yeah.
But the pan to In Loving Memory?
No, the pan to In Loving Memory was weird. The actual pan to it. But the pan down was softcore porn pan over to like a lamp or something. So the Loving
and then
Memory
like a
is the weird part.
slow fade to the actual sex in the
like
softcore porn.
like a fade in, fade out thing.
Yeah.
Do they even still make softcore porn?
Absolutely they do.
All right. Yeah, I don't understand the In Loving Memory, even if it's not for sex.
Maybe it's for Angel's sperm.
I just didn't understand what it was trying to say.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought that like it was going to pan down to like a name. I was waiting for something, but it just doesn't have anything.
It's just landed in Loving Memory with no name, nothing. And is this like an homage to someone that passed away working on the show? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, somebody on the show that just loved Angel and Buffy.
Like, there's a props master that passed away. I don't know. Like, I'm so confused.
That'd be the weirdest tribute to that person
but
ever.
If someone knows, please let us know.
No one's gonna know.
Who's
gonna know?
People love this show. People dissect this more than we do, and don't do podcasts about it.
That's true. Well, this is our first time watching it, though.
Even if I went back, I still wouldn't know what that meant.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. All right, so then we cut to the school, and the school security guard, the overnight security guard, he's making his rounds, and then he goes into the basement, and he's like, "Hello, is anybody in here?" And he sees a big hole in the wall that leads to the underground. And he's like, "What the hell is this?" He's got his flashlight. And as he's investigating it, the sex ed teacher jumps him from behind and tosses him down into the hole.
Yeah, and he's holding a pickaxe when he does it. So it was really interesting that he didn't hit him with the pickaxe, that he just did a gentleman shove him into the hole.
Yeah. So he's gone. Buffy goes back home, and she gets home and she's looking at her egg, and the egg's shaking and moving and stuff. And she's like, "What's going on here?" And so the egg hatches and something leaps out at her face and then goes under her bed. And she's like, what's this? She grabs an iron for ironing clothes. And she's like, I'm going to check under my bed. She looks under her bed for like half a second. She's like, well, it must be gone. I'm going to check the ceiling.
No, she does not check the ceiling. She's still looking around. It drops down from the ceiling. Well,
no. She does look at the ceiling because I remember seeing that. And I was like, you saw it go under your bed. Why would you look at the ceiling?
Oh, wow.
And then she goes back to look under her bed. And then the thing drops from the ceiling.
Okay.
And she grabs it. She throws it. And it's scampering. And then she grabs scissors and she stabs it. And it kills it on the ground. And it is a scorpion-looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now dead. And so Buffy's mom hears a commotion or something.
She calls
Willow. Oh, she calls Willow.
She calls Willow.
And she asks Willow about her egg. She's like, hey, is your egg doing something weird? Because mine just hatched and a weird thing popped out. And Willow's like, no, nothing weird happened to my egg. I put it in the fridge. And Buffy's like, oh, okay, good.
And this is where the Gorch brothers' role plays a part. She says, oh, you sure this wasn't a plan by the Gorch brothers?
Yeah.
Which is that weird scripting thing where it would imply that Willow overheard that the brothers were planning to get Buffy.
Yeah.
You know, like she has no concept that the brothers would be planning to get her. It's like she has information that that character would not have in that situation. But it's only set up so that she could be like, no, that could have been, it's only your egg that's bad. You know?
Yeah. So Buffy's like, all right, well, I'm happy that your egg is fine. I'm going to go. So she hangs up, and then we hang up, and Willow looks very odd, and she's staring straight ahead, and then it pans down to see that her egg has hatched. And we're assuming that it's the same kind of thing. Now, since it looks the way it looks, which is like a scorpion, what was that tendril bullshit?
So I don't know what because later we do get tendrils. So maybe at a certain point in the gestation period, tendrils come out, but I don't understand why. For me, it's not the what, it's the why.
I want to know more about how these things work.
I was thinking like alien creatures and they might go in your mouth or something like that. We find out later they go in your back or spine or something.
Yeah. Nervous system.
Yeah.
But what is it called? It's called like a Borza or Baza or something.
Yeah, it looked like it was spelled Beza, Beza, but then they were saying Borza or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just kept writing scorpion.
Yeah, it's a scorpion alien creature thing with blue blood.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
So yeah, after hearing all this commotion with the fight and the phone call to Willow, Buffy's mom...
Not that loud, by the way. Not that
loud at all.
Because Buffy does not scream. She does not throw anything. She stabs a wall with a...
Her mom didn't hear Buffy fucking tussling with Ted last episode.
She came in later, but yeah, she didn't...
She came in so much later. She came in immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, her mom
she's
comes in.
mad because she didn't get her dress from the Everyday Woman store. So she's on Buffy.
That's true. And she's so on Buffy that she's like, what's all that commotion I heard? And Buffy's like, nothing. She's like, who are you on the phone with? She's like, well, I was on the phone with Willow. And her mom is like, why are you dressed like you were going out? And Buffy's like, I don't know.
Because I just like snuck in from having sex with my vampire boyfriend in a graveyard.
And her mom is like, this is a bunch of bullshit. I don't trust you. Guess what? You're grounded. You're grounded until for the rest of your life. The only places you're allowed to go are school and then the library after school until I pick you up.
Pretty much. At this point, if you were a teen like Buffy, would you continue to hide the weird thing that you found? Or would you be like, Mom, look?
I would absolutely show that thing. Because that doesn't have anything to do with vampire slaying at all.
Or are they not allowed to know about demons either?
I think it would just help her mom survive.
Yes. Her mom could die at her doorstep any day.
Yeah.
If you're a vampire, you just kidnap the mom when she gets to the doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be invited in, of course.
You should get her before she goes in. She goes out to check the mail, she's snatched up.
Yeah. I mean, her mom is in such peril.
But wait, we don't know.
Let's
not spoil it because we don't know what the brothers are.
The Gorge brothers' plan.
We don't know what their plan is yet, so maybe that's their plan.
Oh yeah, that's right. That would be a good plan for them to have.
Maybe that's their plan.
That could be a great plan for the Gorge brothers to have. Anyway. So then at school the next day, Buffy sees Cordelia, and Cordelia has this teddy bear backpack, and Buffy's like, hey, cool backpack. And then Cordelia goes on this like 2-minute rant about like, I was the first person to have this backpack and now everybody has this backpack. I'm a trendsetter and nobody gives me credit for it. And Buffy's like, chill out, dude. Like, and even I was like, chill out, dude.
Yeah,
like, what's going on here?
Like, all right, I guess there was a time when this was a thing. I don't remember it, but sure.
I don't either, but good for them.
Yeah.
So then Buffy's kind of like, no, I just want to know, is your egg all right? Did anything happen to your egg? And Cordelia's like, my egg is fine. It's in my backpack.
Yeah, she's like, it's an egg. Like,
yeah.
Which
like,
I thought was
did it like do anything freaky?
Yeah.
She's like, it doesn't emote, Buffy. Yeah. It's an egg. And then we see Xander.
Wait,
and he's
before they get out of this scene by we see Cordelia calls out to this character Shanice, who is like a black student at the school, and her line is, "Oh, Shanice, is that your real hair?" And I was just like, "What the fuck?" is that? Like, what?
That's great Marty Noxon writing right there, man.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, she should just gone over there and start touching her hair and being like, "Oh, it feels so like." It was such an unnecessary transition from that. I was like, really?
So then we see Xander, and he's eating like a protein bar, and he's like, "Ugh, this tastes nasty," and just like chucks it on the ground. Which I was like, that's the most Xander thing ever. I love that.
Xander becomes complete high school douchebag in this scene alone. Yeah.
So then he pulls out his egg and he goes, "Hey, sorry, Xander Jr., but Papa's hungry."
I was like, really, dude?
So then he cracks it on the like curb that he's sitting on. He starts rolling it.
Yeah.
And
good
everybody's
technique,
like,
good
"Oh,
technique for a little boy."
Great technique. Yeah. Great technique. And then Willow's talking to Buffy about like, did anything else happen with your egg, or do you hear anything else about the eggs? And Buffy's like, no, I guess it just must have been mine. And then Cordelia like walks up next to both of them and she says nothing. And I was like, what? This is such weird blocking and pacing. But then we cut back to Xander, who's about to take a bite out of his egg, and we see it's the scorpion, and he's like, "Oh!" and throws it on the ground.
Mm-hmm. But before that, I think Willow asked Buffy if she brought her thing to school, and she says, "Yes, I'm going to meet up with Giles." And then Willow's like, "Oh, well, why don't you bring it to the lab and I'll go get Giles?"
Yeah.
And at this point, she's got a plan to get Giles out of her way or something.
Like, I put my head down just now after I said that thing about Xander, because no one else sees it. No one else reacts to Xander. I'm assuming there's just like, because when they go to the lab, like there's a full scorpion there, and it looks like it wasn't attacked. Like Buffy's has like at least some scissors in it,
Yeah, but it was on its back. I don't know. I don't care. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's fully intact, and they have the egg next to it. It's fine.
So yeah, then the gang is studying the scorpion, and they're all just kind of huddled around it. And then Willow and Cordelia come in, and Buffy's like, "Well, where's Giles?" And Willow's like, "Yeah, well, Giles said he'll be in a second. Don't worry about it. Let's just start." And then
I love that they're just going to start. Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you don't have any idea.
Yeah.
Then they're like, "What should we do?" And they're like, "I guess dissect it." And then Cordelia's egg hatches in her backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big tendril coming out of her backpack.
Yeah, it pokes the teddy bear's eyes out of the backpack. So that's why she has that, because it looks creepy.
Yeah.
And
then...
Did you think they were going to have to fight the thing when it came out? And it was going to be running around on the floor or something?
I thought something else would happen.
Yeah.
But Buffy and Xander are kind of bickering. And then I forget what happens.
Cordelia leans over while Willow's talking about, "Oh, no, it's probably..." She's like, "Oh, it probably didn't kill him. It would have just..." They'd be like, "Oh, they're worried about the teacher." Now, it probably wouldn't have killed him. It would have probably taken him back to the mother, blah, blah, or something. And Xander's like, "The what?" And you see Cordelia like leaning over, and she grabs something, and it's like a piece of pipe or something. I have no idea what she grabbed, but she hits the shit out of Buffy with it.
Yeah.
And knocks her out.
And then Xander's like, "Whoa, Cordelia, what the hell?" And then I know that this can't be true, but in my mind, I don't know if this is true, but Willow hits him in the head with a lamp.
I think it was a microscope.
Okay.
That would be more fitting. That would be more fitting for a lamp.
That would be. That's what I was like. This cannot be a lamp.
Yeah, but that would have been awesome if it was just a straight up lamp.
And so they get knocked out, and they drag Buffy and Xander to the basement along with a couple of other students who look like they've been possessed by the scorpion things.
School has just started. That just hit me right now. This is not the end of school.
Yeah.
And not the whole school is under influence of these body snatcher things. Because when Willow's walking to school, we can see that scorpion creature's like on her lower back or something, and obviously kind of controlling her.
Yeah.
So you would assume some people are being controlled at this point. but not enough that 2 girls can drag 2 people down the hallway and into a basement in the middle of the school day.
And also, like, did the entire school take this sex ed class?
No, I think it's just the class. But it seems like it was more people than that. But I don't think it's not the full school. It's just like, yeah.
You know what? All this talk about the eggs making me want some eggs. I'm not gonna lie.
I was watching this being
I'm pretty hungry.
I like eggs, and I'm like, this makes me not. Like seeing Xander try to bite into that grossness.
I would have loved to have seen Xander actually take a bite and be like, oh.
What it kind of looks a little bit like that thing, balut or whatever. It's like the half, like, it's like I forget exactly what country it is, but it's an egg that's been fertilized and it's almost there. So it's like kind of like a embryo in it, and you eat it. It's really weird looking, but it's a delicacy.
All right.
I've never had it, but yeah.
I've never even heard of it, so.
Yeah, you're not cultured, you know?
I'm really not.
No.
I've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer before.
You're getting to check that off your bucket list, though.
Yeah. So they drag them to there, and then like a bunch of students just go to some kind of like shed or armory, and they all have axes and pickaxes and shovels.
Shed? It's out of a horror movie.
Yeah, there's like chainsaws and shit in there. I was like, where is this?
Yeah, how many shovels and pickaxes do you need on this campus?
Is that like the groundskeepers or something? Like, what the hell?
Oh my God. I got to talk to my buddy who works at a college and see if that's a real thing. I was a tool shed full of farming equipment.
I was trying to think. I guess there is like a, landscaper or groundskeeper or something.
Yeah. But
there was so many, like, just so everybody's grabbing these weapons, and there's sledgehammers and stuff. So then Buffy's mom goes to the library and is like, hey, Giles, Buffy, is anyone here? And then Giles pokes his head out of library jail, and he's like, oh, hello. Yeah, Buffy didn't come. And Buffy's mom is like, well, that's some bullshit, because I told her the only places she's allowed to be are school and the library. And she's grounded. And, kids, ugh.
Yeah. You don't have kids, do you, Mr. Giles?
He's like, no, I don't. But sometimes I feel like working here, I do have children.
I love that she called him Mr. Giles, and the kids will never do that.
I also love that her mom is like, having kids, I don't want to say it's a burden, but nah, fuck it. That's exactly what I'm going to say. It's a burden. Giles is like, damn.
I felt for Giles being like a person who doesn't like to interact with people that much, and having to interact with Buffy's mom, who is just like, oh, my daughter's not here? Here's my whole life story.
Yeah, dude, being a mom sucks. I'm a single mom. It's a nightmare.
He's like, I'm sorry, I haven't seen her. And he does a good job playing both sides of this, because I was like, oh, he's really worried.
Yeah, he's like, Buffy isn't here. Maybe something happened to her, like in his head.
Yeah.
But also trying to keep the secret of like she's a vampire slayer.
Yeah.
And then they hear some rustling going on, and then Buffy's mom's like, what's that? And Giles is like, what is that? And Buffy's mom turns around. She's like, maybe it's the janitor or something. And then Giles pulls a scorpion out of his desk and latches it onto Buffy's mom's neck. And I was like, what a twist.
She starts to scream when he goes in her neck too.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a quiet, oh, I'm automatically like, it's on me.
I gotta say, did love that twist.
Good twist. Because I really thought when he said, wait, you said she was supposed to be here? I haven't seen her. And like the confusion in his face, like really well done. Yeah. I don't know why the mom's like, hears a noise and goes, oh, it's probably just the janitor. I said I'd be here at 5.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, I wrote in my notes, I was like, that's why they set up that she had to pick her up from the library. Because they stated when she drops her off for school, which is interesting because she doesn't need to be here.
Yeah. I don't know, but I did like the twist with Giles. I thought that was like, I was like, oh, okay.
And
I was
surprised.
Got
my little prediction going that those two are going to hook up. So we need that love triangle.
Happening.
We need that love triangle. You felt that chemistry when they were complaining about their kids.
That's true. So then Buffy and Xander wake up in the same closet that Xander and Cordelia were just making out in. And Xander wakes up and he's like, oh, it was much nicer when Cordelia dragged me in here. And Buffy's like, what? And Xander's like, what? Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Coming out of being knocked out, weird stuff, saying words.
So they try to get out of the closet. The closet's locked. They're like, well, what are we going to do? What's the plan? What was their plan locking us in here? And then there's 2 eggs on the ground, and then they smash the eggs.
I thought the same thing. I was like, why didn't they just attach things to them instead of knocking? And I'm like, okay, they left the eggs in there. Sure.
Yeah. But sure. I mean, also just like do what Giles just did to Buffy's mom.
Yeah. Then you don't have the show. But at least there's a little bit of forethought there. Like the eggs are there. When the eggs hatch and they come out, it would have been great if the eggs did hatch and they had to fight them in the closet.
That would have been so sweet.
Oh, so
close quarters. Yeah, that would have been so dope. So they smash the eggs. Buffy kicks open the door. They go to the library. They're like, where's Giles? And they see a broken egg shell on the ground. They're like, oh, Giles must have been taken. And then this is where we get, Giles was just studying the Beza or Borza.
The book is so conveniently open to what they need. On the front
exact
desk
page.
And we had just seen in the scene before him put it away in the closet.
Yeah.
So I guess he took it back out and started rereading. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they always kind of do this when they need to, which is fine. Like, we don't need to spend more time on Buffy trying. I was really concerned. I was like, how are you going to look that up?
Right? Yeah, because they were like, how are we looking it up?
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess in a book? I was like, oh, yeah, the internet.
Yeah, you can't.
They don't know how to use it.
Yeah. And Giles doesn't let them scan the books then anymore after that demon scare.
That's true. Yeah. So then we see Giles and Buffy's mom like zombified walking to the basement. And people are like, I thought this was so funny.
It has like just like Oompa Loompa and like the dwarfs, like Snow White and the dwarfs. It's just like these worker bees marching song playing while they're just like in the basement.
It's like 25, 30 people in the basement, like lightly quote unquote digging at the ground. Like Willow has a huge sledgehammer and she's just patting the ground with it. And then Buffy's mom grabs like a pickaxe and she just starts patting the ground at it, like next to Willow. It's doing nothing.
And Cordelia is being handed eggs and like wiping nothing off of them and putting them in like an egg basket thing.
It's so stupid.
It's so funny.
It's so stupid, dude. I was like, this is hilarious. Like the patting on the ground with the sledgehammer really got me.
There's a way to make this like horrifying, but it just comes across like just workers doing like some menial chore mindlessly. Like it's I don't know.
But they're like unearthing more eggs and there's screaming going on. And so we cut back to Buffy and Xander and they're like trying to deduce what this thing wants, and they want to like take it back to the mother. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the mother lives underground. And then so they're like, well, where's the mother, you think? And then you hear a big scream from some kid outside the library. And they run out and they're like, hey, is everything all right? And then he stands up and he's like, oh, I just slipped. Don't worry about it. And then he turns into a zombie and then starts walking towards the basement, and Buffy and Xander follow him. Mm-hmm. And then he leads them to the mother scorpion thing. Buffy goes through the whole. I enjoyed this. This is such a small thing.
I wrote it down too. I didn't know if we'd actually talk about. You got to talk about it. It's a great moment. It's a great moment. Yeah.
Buffy goes through the hole in the wall, and she's like, "I think he's leading us down here." And then Xander takes a step into the hole in the wall, and he's like, "All right, well, be careful," and then just face plants.
Yeah, it's great. It's great comedy.
It's good.
That was a great moment. Great little moment. Great little character moment for Xander.
So they go down there and they're spying on what's going on, and they're like, what's the plan? And Buffy's like, I need to get some weapons. And Xander's like, all right, well, I'm going to do some infiltrating and spying. And Buffy's like, all right, cool. So he like becomes like a zombified version of himself.
Xander is not. He's fearless, man.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with you, Buffy.
There's also like, yeah, I think it's more that he's stupid because there's like 30
it's a little bit of the
zombified
it's a little
people.
Bit of both, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's acting like a zombie. Giles tries to hand him some eggs and he's like, okay. Or no, Giles hands him a rock and then Xander's like, oh, cool. I just like tosses it on the ground.
I know. And I'm like, they don't see it. They don't notice. Like, I don't know why he thought this would work, but I do love when people try to pretend to be like a part of a hive mind thing. So,
yeah. So then he's like trying to infiltrate the lair. Then we cut to Buffy and she's grabbing some weapons. And then this is when the Gorch brothers show up and she's like, this is not a good time, guys. And they're like, oh, I think it's a real good time.
And this is where we have to pause and talk about the Gorch brothers for a minute.
Yep.
What was their plan?
Well, especially once they throw Buffy into the hole and they see
that's what you're talking about later.
Okay, yeah, I guess
this
so.
is them showing up. She's alone in the hallway there.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is it. This is what our plan was. Their only role is to be a mislead to think that maybe for like 1 or 2 scenes that they planted the weird egg. Yeah. Which I don't think anyone's really buying. And it's not even for a scene. It's for like half a line. And
yeah.
Because we already know. What was their plan? They just show up.
Well, they show up.
You had 2 days. You had days to figure out something, and this is what they came up with.
Well, didn't they meet Buffy in the basement, like right outside of the hole?
Yeah. At first, I thought they were somewhere else, but no, they just punch her. They get in a fight, and then
and then they punch her down the hole.
And they fight. No, they fall into the thing. Yeah, they fall into the hole. Sorry, there's 2 holes because the mom creature is in another one. That's what yeah. So they punch her into the room. Because she knocks out the younger brother who she'd never met before.
Right.
Knocks him out. And then she's fighting Cowboy Guy. And he looks like, what is this? And she's like,
yeah,
it's weird.
It's like, there's some weird shit going on. So, and then once they're down in the hole, everybody starts attacking both of them.
Yeah, because Willow sees Buffy finally sees her mom, which she didn't see the first time. So she's like, Mom. Uh-huh. And then Willow looks up and she's like, kill them.
Kill them. And then so everybody starts attacking Buffy and Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then they team up briefly for a second. They're like, they're attacking both of us.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of these guys and then we'll get back to our thing.
Yeah.
So they are like teaming up. They're beating up all these scorpion people.
Beating up students who are just mind controlled.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting them full force in the face. Yeah.
Well, I was just waiting for a moment that comes a little bit later, but I was waiting for like Buffy having to punch her mom in the face. It's like, this is for grounding me. I know you're brainwashed, but this is for not letting me get that skanky outfit at the beginning of the episode or whatever.
And the mom's like, this is for not getting my dress.
Yeah. So they have a little tussle.
She's not even
and then
fully controlled. She just wanted to be part of the team.
She was just lonely because being a single mom is terrible. So yeah, then they fight off those people and then they get back to fighting each other, Lyle and Buffy. And then Xander is still infiltrating. He's following Cordelia and some other guy. And before they get to wherever they're going, Xander just decides he's going to attack the other guy. So he throws that guy into a wall and knocks him out. And then Cordelia puts her eggs down and she starts swinging at Xander. And then Xander's like, whoa, Cordelia, I don't want to hurt you. Oh, well, not like this. Or I kind of do, but not like this. And Xander tries to pick up the eggs and Cordelia punches him. And then he says, hey, that's my bump.
Okay, that's what he said? Because at first I thought he said bum. I think now he's talking about where he got hit in the head.
That's what, okay. I heard bum at first, and then I rewound, and I was like, did she punch him in the ass?
Yeah.
And she did not punch him in the ass.
No, she did not. That's why I was confused. But he is referencing the bump he got from being hit in the head with the lamp / microscope.
But yeah, I love his, he was like, hey, yeah, that's my bump. Yeah. And then just decks Cordelia.
He uppercuts Cordelia.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He did not pull that punch either.
Women are getting punched in this show a bunch. And not just like slayers.
Yeah. I did. And then it like zooms in on his face. He's like, oh no, what have I done? So then we go back to Buffy and Lyle fighting, and then Tector shows up, and he's like, all right, I'm going to get in on this fight
I gotta
now.
bring up one of Buffy's moves that happened, like the first when they first started fighting, when they all started attacking. She kicks 2 people with a spinning kick, and it was pretty awesome at the same time.
All she does is kick, dude.
But that's all she can do, but this one was a good one. It was a spinning jump kick that kicked 2 kids in the face.
All right.
What else are you gonna do? This is the whole show.
I don't know.
The whole show is
dude.
If you're getting tired of punching and kicking, you got a long way to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, John Wick, all he does is shoot his gun. Like.
Okay. All right. You got me there, Vance. You got me there. So then Tector comes down. He's like, I'm gonna get in on this. And then he is like, wait a minute, there's some kind of weird thing going on over there. What's this? He leans over to see the mother scorpion. And then the mother scorpion's tendrils come, wrap around Tector's neck, and then drags him down and I guess eats him.
Sure. We don't see a mouth. We just see eyes. And who cares? I do like the curiosity of the vampire. Because I feel like if I was around since like the 1800s, I would have seen some stuff. But I would definitely want to see some new shit.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what is going on? Like, okay, Slayer, whatever. We know what Slayers are. They're just hot teenage girls that can punch and kick hard. But what is this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he gets dragged down, and then Lyle sees it, and he goes, hey, that's my brother!
This is your fault, Slayer.
Yeah.
She's like,
he
why
goes,
is this
that's
my
my
fault?
brother. He turns to Buffy, goes, this is your fault. Buffy goes, how?
Yeah.
Great point, Buffy. And then Lyle just chucks her in there with him. And as she's going down, she grabs like a pickaxe as she's falling into the mother's mouth.
It's before that. He pushes her nearby. Then the mom comes over, and the mom almost pickaxes her.
Oh, okay.
The mom stands above her. She slams down the pickaxe. Buffy rolls, but then the tendrils get her ankle. They pull her.
Right.
Then she gets pulled in, but before she gets pulled in, she has the wherewithal to grab that pickaxe. So the mom, in turn, saves Buffy by trying to kill her. Sometimes you have to try to kill the thing you love to end up giving them the tools to save themselves.
Isn't that how that old saying goes?
That's how abusive.
If you love
abusers
something, try
validate
to kill
their
it.
abuse. Yeah.
And if it doesn't come back or whatever, set it free.
Yeah, if you try to kill it and it survives, then
yeah. So Buffy attacks it from the inside. All of this is off camera. You just hear noises, just like
Yeah, if you were watching this and you thought this is how Buffy's going to finally bite the bullet, no.
Yeah, no, there's no way. And after a little bit of tussling, all of the possessed people collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And then Buffy crawls out of the hole, and Lyle sees her covered in like goo and stuff, and he's like, we'll do this again some other time. See ya. And then he leaves. Just runs away.
Yeah. They just love letting vampires run away, don't they?
Absolutely they do. Absolutely. They never chase him at all.
Does Wikipedia say that he's coming back? He's such a specific character.
He doesn't have like a blue thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lyle flees, and then everybody wakes up. Giles is walking around, and he's like, don't worry, everybody. It was a gas leak. It was a gas. I was like, when did everybody come back to consciousness? Were they all in the basement?
They had to be. I don't think Buffy dragged everyone upstairs.
Like, how could you possibly get that lie to go over?
It was the first thing I thought about when they were all passed out after the things fell off of them. I was like, how do they get out of this?
Yeah. It's a gas leak, Vance.
And the worst person for this would be the mom who buys it.
Right?
Like, she should remember being in the library and then wonder why she's covered in soot.
Like, everybody's covered in soot.
Yeah. Gas leaks aren't, like, it's not like a fire or something, like a volcano exploded next to the building. Like, you should...
It made no sense.
And Giles... they were just like, all right, this works. Let's go with it.
Giles is even confused as what's going on. He goes up to Xander and he's like, actually, what really happened? And Xander's like, I'll let you know later. He's just like, all right, just keep going with the gas leak lie.
I can't wait for like the fire department to get there, go to check out the gas leak, and then see nothing but tools, a wrecked basement, and a bunch of these little creature things.
Yeah. I just don't know how they cover this up, dude.
It would have been better for me if they would have just cut to the morning and school was back in session like they normally do.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
So then we see Buffy's mom, like she's all confused. She's like, "Where's Buffy?" And then Buffy comes out wearing completely different clothes.
She's got her hoodie on.
Well, it looked like she also had like a different shirt and pajama pants on. But Buffy's like, I was in the library, I was in the gym, and the mom's like, I went to the library and you weren't there. I told you to only go to the library.
The mom completely flipped from, oh my God, I'm so happy you're safe. There was a gas leak. We all could have died. To, why weren't you in the place that I guess made me pass out with a bunch of kids that I weren't around?
Yeah, and then the mom's berating her some more about like not being responsible. And Buffy's like, am I grounded? And she's like, oh wait, I'm already grounded. The mom's like, you're grounded even worse. Yeah. You're not allowed to leave your room except to go to school and the bathroom. It's like, isn't that what she was doing before?
And it also was just like, why are we giving her a lesson of being responsible here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I thought this episode was going to be. I thought this episode was going to be about parenthood and be more of a whole like thing with Angel not being able to have kids, which I don't really want to watch. But like, I thought it was going to have more to do with like sex and procreation, and then it turns into cowboy vampires and egg alien kind of thing. And it wasn't like when they killed the mom alien, you were like, well, she's just the mom trying to procreate. Like, there's a way to have that little. I mean, that's too much story stuff, but like...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. There's no theme. Yeah. There's no tie-in to anything. Yeah. There's no lesson learned. It's just...
Yeah, even if it was more like Buffy having to go to extreme lengths to keep vampire slaying a secret, you know, that would be still fun, where she's like having to like be grounded but kill a vampire. Like if the cowboys were coming around and she had to kill them while she was like trying to like still pretend to be grounded, and they're like, what is this? Like, why is your shirt ripped and stuff like that? But those cowboys made no sense. They did not need to be in this episode.
Didn't do anything. They didn't do anything.
And it's such a cool story to have cowboy vampires.
Yeah.
That were killers beforehand.
I was about to say, especially with their like backstory of like these guys were like marauders and they like destroyed a village and all this stuff. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like something happened.
They sucked.
I don't know. I feel like something happened here with this one.
Yeah, so then we end the episode with Buffy in her room and Angel on her, like, they're making out through the window. And Angel's like, you sure you're not going to get in trouble? And Buffy's like, I'm not technically breaking any rules. I am in my room. And then that's kind of the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's like teens horny ending.
This was not the best Buffy episode.
It's got a lot of like cool, like the egg creatures are fun, kind of.
Yeah,
it's just a lot of questions on this one. I am curious for anyone who's stuck around this long in the episode and has been listening. If we have listeners that are watching Buffy like we are for the first time, or is everyone on their rewatch?
Okay,
let us know. Let us know if you're a first time Buffy watcher.
Also, if you have already seen it, do you remember this episode and did you like it? Like if you're even if you're rewatching it to like watch along with the podcast, would you say this is a good episode of Buffy?
This feels like a first season episode, not a second season episode.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. where they were going a little wilder. But they've done episodes with like creatures, and that was the whole episode. They didn't need to throw vampires and love stories and talking about having babies.
Yeah, I was waiting for like the lesson or like the greater lesson learned, but it's basically just Buffy then disobeying her mother, and like I just there's definitely been better episodes.
I think you have to end it on Xander and Cordelia. You have to, because a big chunk of this episode was them making out, hooking up in closets, arguing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been their episode. They should have been teamed up, having to take care of a baby, fighting about it. I don't know.
No such luck. But that will do it. Any final thoughts on this episode, Vance?
Those cowboy vampires had no plan.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of pervs that just wanted to watch them make out and finish. That's it. Bro's like, why don't we kill him? He's like, I got a plan. I can't find a good whore in this town. So
yeah, that was so weird. Oh, I forgot to bring that up.
Because cowboys, right? Cowboys.
I forgot.
Whorehouse.
Tector mentioned something about like, there's not a good whore in this town. Why'd you drag me to Sunnydale? What a weird episode.
It's a weird episode, man.
But that's it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, rate and review, all that jazz. Instagram at BoysWatchingBuffy. If you want to email in, BoysWatchingBuffy@gmail.com. And stay tuned for our next episode where we talk about Surprise. It's the name of the episode. And it's got over 1 million more viewers than this episode.
I think I'm gonna go super lame and just say a surprise birthday party.
And then a vampire pops out of a cake. Spike pops out of a cake. Oh, it's the return of Spike and Drusilla. That's what I'm going to guess.
Okay. All right.
Because that would be a surprise because they think that they're dead.
And we'll know right away at the beginning if we get a recap.
Yeah, if it's like, this is who Spike and Drusilla are. It's like, oh, dude. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, and come back next time for when we talk about Surprise.
Sorry, Junior. The man's gotta eat.
Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.